The world is getting warmer, and we see it in the news every day. The ice caps are melting, oceans are rising, and storms are growing stronger. But there's another crisis, one that's harder to see. A silent storm gathering in our minds. This isn't just about melting glaciers or flooded coastlines. It's about the growing weight of anxiety, grief, and fear. Climate change is fueling a mental health crisis, affecting millions around the globe. We often talk about the cost of climate change in dollars, but how do we measure the cost of lost security or a child's nightmares? The psychological toll is immense, yet largely uncounted. It's the unseen wound of our time, connecting us all, whether we've faced disaster firsthand or simply watched the future unfold with dread. This mental health impact isn't a distant threat. It's here now. It's in the knot in your stomach when you read another dire climate report, in the sleepless nights of those who've lost everything, and in the anxious questions of young people. This isn't weakness. It's a rational response to an existential threat. Our minds are struggling to process a reality almost too large to comprehend. As we navigate this new reality, we must recognize the climate crisis is also a mental health crisis. This is a journey into that unseen storm, a story of loss, resilience, and the urgent need to care for our minds as we fight for our planet. Miriam once knew the rhythm of the river in her Nigerian village. It nourished her crops and family. But one year, relentless rains turned the river into a monster, swallowing her world whole. She and her children escaped with nothing but their lives, climbing onto a neighbor's roof as floodwaters surged. The physical devastation was clear, homes and livelihoods gone, but the invisible scars ran deeper. Miriam had nightmares. Loud noises made her heart race. Her once happy son became withdrawn, staring at the sky, terrified the rain would return. The flood receded, but the trauma remained, a constant, suffocating presence. Miriam's story is not unique. Millions around the world live with the psychological aftermath of climate disasters. For every headline about a storm or wildfire, there are countless untold stories of distress. People suffer from PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Their sense of home and security is washed away. The trauma isn't just a memory, it haunts daily life. The world sees the wreckage and moves on, but for survivors, the event never truly ends. It replays in their minds, shaping their view of the world. They rebuild on a foundation of uncertainty, always waiting for the next disaster. This is the profound, personal cost of climate change. It's not just about losing a house, it's about losing the feeling of being safe in the world. If left untreated, it's a wound that can last a lifetime. Miriam's trauma is echoed worldwide. In California, wildfire survivors speak of fire brain, a state of hypervigilance where smoke or sirens trigger panic. In Australia, after the Black Summer fires, entire communities grappled with collective trauma. Children are especially vulnerable. After Hurricane Katrina, many suffered severe anxiety and depression for years. In the Philippines, children grow up learning disaster drills before they learn to read. Their childhoods are shaped by fear that the world isn't safe. The impact extends beyond those directly affected. A new generation is growing up under the shadow of climate catastrophe. They see the reports, watch the news, and feel anxiety and grief for the future. Many feel betrayed by inaction and helpless in the face of such a massive problem. From Indian farmers watching crops fail to Inuit hunters seeing their way of life melt away, the story is the same. Climate change inflicts a deep psychological wound on humanity. It's a shared trauma that transcends borders and generations. The emotional echo of a planet in crisis is growing louder every day. We are all hearing it, whether we realize it or not. There's a name for this feeling: eco-anxiety. It's not a clinical diagnosis, but it's a real and growing response to the climate crisis. Eco-anxiety is the chronic fear of environmental doom, the worry, grief, and helplessness as we watch the planet's systems unravel. For some, it's a low-level hum of worry. For others, it's debilitating, leading to panic attacks and depression. It can even affect major life decisions, like whether to have children in an uncertain world. This feeling isn't irrational, it's a sign you're paying attention. Have you ever felt stress or sadness after reading about melting ice sheets? Or guilt when using plastic? That's eco-anxiety. You're not alone. Naming this anxiety is the first step toward managing it. It validates the experience and transforms isolating fear into a shared one. When we name it, we can talk about it, study it, and develop ways to cope. Eco-anxiety is the mind's alarm bell, warning us of danger. The challenge is to listen to the alarm without letting it paralyze us. Together, we can turn anxiety into action. The link between climate change and mental health isn't just emotional, it's physiological. Rising heat directly affects our brains and behavior. Studies show that as temperatures rise, so do hospital admissions for mental health emergencies. Extreme heat disrupts brain chemistry, interfering with mood-regulating neurotransmitters like serotonin. Hotter days are linked to increases in violence, aggression, and even suicide rates. Air pollution, driven by fossil fuels, also harms our brains. Tiny particles cross the blood-brain barrier, causing inflammation and damage. Long-term exposure is linked to higher rates of depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline. The very air we breathe is working against our mental well-being. The climate crisis is happening inside our bodies and minds, pushing our coping mechanisms to the limit. Climate action is not just about saving the planet, it's fundamental to protecting our mental health. The mental health impacts of climate change cast a long shadow. These aren't just short-term shocks, they're chronic stressors that wear people down over time. Farmers face year after year of unpredictable weather, leading to high rates of depression and suicide. Children's trauma and anxiety can shape their entire lives, affecting brain development and future well-being. Our mental health care systems are already overwhelmed and unprepared for this scale of crisis. After disasters, clinics are flooded with physical injuries, but psychological needs often go unmet. Even in wealthy nations, there aren't enough climate-aware therapists or resources. As climate impacts intensify, millions may be left to suffer in silence. The scale of the problem can feel overwhelming, but despair is not our only option. Hope begins with awareness and with action. Around the world, people are building psychological resilience to climate change. Schools are helping children process climate emotions and develop coping strategies. Community groups are creating safe spaces to talk openly about fears and anxieties. We can't just build stronger seawalls. We must build stronger minds and communities. The most powerful thing you can do is break the silence. Talk about the mental health impacts of climate change. When we share our feelings, we realize we're not alone. This shared vulnerability builds connection and courage. Supporting climate action is a powerful antidote to helplessness. Working for a better future is a way to reclaim agency and protect your mind. Healing our world and our minds are two sides of the same coin. By facing this crisis with honesty, compassion, and collective action, we can find resilience in the face of fear. The path forward is lit by the courage we find together.